obviously a passion of mine is Black women in leadership. And what Black women are doing and how it's affecting my little Black daughters. I have a soft spot for it, right? And you guys know, just like with the YNs, why I can't stand YNs. I have 5 young sons with dreads. All of them are probably gonna have dreads. They all work out, they're gonna be big, walking down the street. Their pants will not be down their butt, and they will not be dressed like that, but still, I don't want the perception of you know what I'm saying, young Black men with dreads to be that. Just like I don't want the perception of Black women who go get an education to be that they were given anything or it's not real, right? And one of my biggest frustrations is Ketanji Jackson Brown or Jackson Brown. I'm not sure how you pronounce your name. She was picked to go to the Supreme Court literally because Joe Biden said that she was a person of color, so he picked her. I think she said some of the most silly, incoherent things that's imaginable. Right now, they're arguing a case in the Supreme Court right now, Voting Rights Act of 1965, Section 2. And what it essentially says is that it's racist. It's honestly, it says that we can draw districts based on color. We can have a minority district, right? So you can redraw your district maps in your state or whatever, and if all colored people live across these lines, you can make that one district. Because the idea was that way colored people get representation for themselves, right? It's racist, honestly. But because of the time, 1965, right, a little bit of racism might not have been the worst thing to kind of give us a little edge up, right? Because back then, there wasn't a lot of difference of opinions because the number one opinion was like, hey, can we have rights? Like, can we be treated normal? Like, can Black people be treated normal given a chance? So it may have been back then there wasn't enough, white people that believe in anything about that. So we needed to have all Black people voting in to make sure someone of color would get a chance to be in Congress. I do not believe that same thing exists in 2025. In fact, it's not even a belief. I guarantee you it doesn't. Because prime example, I get called sellout coon all the time on the internet by people who have the same color. I don't think we should vote the same. I don't want to be put in a block with those guys. We're not for the same things. But let's hear Ketanji Jackson Brown's argument as to why that should stay and why Black people need a special carve-out to make sure they get the person they want to run their area. And of course, that person would have to be a person of color because why else? Why else would a person of color vote for someone not a person of color? Because this is the only thing that matters.
I'm thinking of it, of the fact that remedial action, absent discriminatory intent, is really not a new idea in the civil rights laws. And my kind of paradigmatic example of this is something like the ADA. Congress passed the Americans with Disabilities Act against the backdrop of a world that was generally not accessible to people with disabilities. And so it was discriminatory in effect because these folks were not able to access these buildings. And it didn't matter whether the person who built the building or the person who owned the building intended for them to be exclusionary. That's irrelevant. Congress said the facilities have to be made equally open to people with disabilities if readily possible. I guess I don't understand why that's not what's happening here. The idea in Section 2 is that we are responding to current day manifestations of past and present decisions that disadvantage minorities and make it so that they don't have equal access to the voting system. Right? They're disabled. In fact, we use the word disabled in Milligan. We say that's a way in which you see that these processes are not equally open.
So, what do you guys think about Ketanji Jackson Brown her argument about why minorities should still get to keep separate districts like that? Did you guys catch what she was saying, or what do you think she was saying?
Because people are disabled.
What people are disabled?
Black people.
Is that what you got from that?
Mm.
What'd you get? All right.
She was like yapping, wow.
Well, yeah, she was doing a whole lot of yapping and talking around, but see, I asked you that to make sure that's what you got, and I see you kind of got doubted when I double checked it, but you stuck there, and I'm glad. That's 100% what she just said. 100% what she just said. She just said, I look at this, minorities having their own voting block, just like I do the ADA. We made this for people with disabilities. It doesn't matter if it hurt other people. So, those guys are just disabled people. We need to give them their own block so those disabled colors can vote for people they like. Once again, but she is a woman of color, so we're supposed to worship her and pretend like she's so smart and everything she says is so great and amazing. Me personally, I think it just lowers the opinion of people. I think it hurts people like my mom. Very successful woman of color who runs a whole registration for a school. And I don't want people looking at Ketanji Jackson Brown and looking at my mom and thinking like, well, Ketanji Jackson Brown went to Harvard. She didn't even go to Harvard. So if somebody who went to Harvard like that can think like that, then what do I have to listen to her for? The one who went to Harvard just said that all the colors are disabled. I don't listen to this disabled person. The one who went to Harvard just told me they're all disabled. What do I need to, my daughter's. TT wants to be a doctor. Think she's disabled? I don't. I mean, I am physically disabled, but she's talking mental. Like, she's not saying disabled, like, oh, there's something wrong with their neck and back after a car accident. No, that's me. She's saying they're disabled, like their brain don't work too good, and like they need help.
So like crazy people?
No, she literally just compared them to disabled people.
Man, most Democrats. I don't know.
Yeah, easy. We don't want to be insulting, but I hate you. But yeah, that is Ketanji Jackson Brown. That is why, or Ketanji Brown Jackson. I'm not sure. That's why we will continue every time we'll put these people on and we'll look at it together and we'll talk about exactly what these great women of color are doing, leading us, and where they're leading